Good evening, everybody, and happy Halloween from the Tropical Weather Threat Society. This is Casper, and I am here to bring you our nightly update. And as of the 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time primary advisory from the National Hurricane Center this morning, Melissa has become post-tropical, and the final advisory was issued by the National Hurricane Center. Now, still going to see some impacts definitely there into Canada. As you can see, here comes the storm racing off at one point 48 miles an hour to the northeast. Just unbelievable forward speed. Will be impacting portions of Newfoundland here within the next, at the rate that it's going now, within the next couple hours. It'll be there and gone. So it rapidly moving system out into the open waters of the Atlantic. We were all ecstatic when we saw this. This is where it was at 11 a.m. here. This is where it's at now, recently. And it's just screaming off to the northeast. As you can see with the track, we no longer have Iceland in the forecast cone, but it is forecast to get up there and potentially contribute to a decent amount of snow there for Iceland. Real quick, looking at Earthnall, as you can see, it does have its frontal features. So they called it this morning, which was, I was thrilled. So, barring not really having much to talk about regarding the tropics, I was looking into a couple little tidbits of information, and I came across something that I thought was quite intriguing, and others may find it interesting as well. So, if we look and compare the North Atlantic with the Eastern Pacific, now we all know the Eastern Pacific, especially in the early part of the year, was just cranking out storm after storm after storm after storm. So, the Eastern Pacific has had 20 named storms compared to the Atlantic's 13. Here, actually, I'll change colors. Give me a second here. So, 20 to 13 as far as the two basins are concerned. 85 and a half storm days for the Eastern Pacific compared to the Atlantic's 59.5. 5 hurricanes for the Atlantic, 11 hurricanes for the Eastern Pacific. So over twice the amount of hurricanes in the Eastern Pacific compared to the Atlantic. For our hurricane days, though, this is where things start to kind of get funny. Because right now we're leaning hard into the Eastern Pacific. Hurricane days. For the Eastern Pacific, we had 25 and a half days out of those 11 named hurricanes. They lasted for 25 and a half days combined. For the 5 hurricanes that we had for the Atlantic, 24.75. So almost as many hurricane days compared to twice the amount of storms in the Eastern Pacific for the Atlantic. Major hurricanes. We've had 4 in both basins. The Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic have had 4 major hurricanes. For the Atlantic, it was Aaron, Gabrielle, Umberto, and obviously Melissa. Imelda came close. Imelda was a Category 2, but did not get Category 3 status. That was our other hurricane for the season. So we almost went 5 for 5, but going 4 for 5, that's rough. Well, when we look at our major hurricane days, we've got 11 and a half major hurricane days in the North Atlantic compared to 5.75 in the Eastern Pacific. So, this is the part that really kind of blew my mind. We had double the amount of hurricanes in the Eastern Pacific, over twice the amount compared to the Atlantic. The same amount of major hurricanes in both, but double the amount of major hurricane days in the North Atlantic compared to the Eastern Pacific. And at the end, so far, right now, if the season were to end right now, the Atlantic has 132.6 units of accumulated cyclone energy compared to the Eastern Pacific's 126.6. A wild statistic as to where the Atlantic hurricane season, perfect example of quality over quantity. Perfect example. And unfortunately, one of those extraordinarily intense storms hit. And if we click here, we can come down to Melissa. And you'll notice that for the entire season, you have Aaron, Gabrielle, Umberto, and then Melissa. Between these 4 storms, they account for the massive majority of the accumulated cyclone energy. Imelda, which was the other hurricane, only had 7.0. Melissa came in with 34.7. Big time. Like it's to me it just highlights the fact, folks, that even though we have had only 13 named storms, 4 of them are extreme. Aaron with a 915, Gabrielle got down to a 948, Umberto to a 924, and then it says Melissa here 896. That will be updated to 892 and potentially lower after we get the post-storm analysis in the future. It's going to be months from now. But I thought that this was quite a remarkable comparison, how the Eastern Pacific had double the amount of storms compared to the Atlantic, but the Atlantic had double the amount of major hurricane days compared to the Eastern Pacific. Wild season so far. Now, one thing that I want to show everybody also is here, I've got it on October the 10th with our sea surface temperatures, and you can see, I just want to show everybody what happened with Melissa as far as the upwelling and the cooling of the waters. Here you can see the impact starting to take place. And we are now down to the 30th. We'll see as this continues to go. But, folks, if we look at the oceanic heat content, it's still above average for the Caribbean. Yes, there has been some upwelling, but it's basically brought it back to average. It really wasn't overall, using Brian McNulty's site here, it really, even in the sea surface temperatures, actually I can pull up tropical tidbits here, go to the analysis tool, and then taking a look at our 7-day anomalies, We could probably get that a little closer. Let's see. Nope. Let's go Western Atlantic. As you can see, there has been some temperature changes, some anomalously cooler waters, but when you started with 88 degrees, 89-degree Fahrenheit water, and it being hundreds of feet deep, at least with, water that would maintain and intensify a hurricane. Folks, I mean, the cooling did take place, but the water temperatures down there are still supportive of a tropical cyclone. Still. It's just not as hot as what it was. That's how much energy was sitting down there. And nothing had been down there all year long. It was just building up all that energy, all that heat, all that stored up, opportunity for just the right particular set of oceanic and atmospheric conditions combining, and it has turned out to be historic. There's no question about it. Looking at the global tropics hazards outlook here, again, low chance out here into the Western Caribbean. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I don't see it. We could end up with something going into maybe late second week, maybe getting into the beginning part of the third week of November. But again, we've got numerous cold fronts that are going to come through between now and then, and it's unlikely that we see anything else out there, and the hurricane season may be done with for the Atlantic. Could very well be. And it's becoming more and more likely that that's the case, but you can't ever say never, because all it takes is the little conditions. And as you can see here, the Euro ensembles represent that perfectly, to where there's two colors, one that come up. I mean, like, you can't really, one that goes into Nicaragua, one that comes up. So it's basically telling you that there is a 4% chance of something. Don't even bother to try to look at it. But again, it's a non-zero chance. But it is very, very likely that the 2025 Atlantic season may be over and done with. Again, we may get a little something to talk about, but it's highly unlikely. Even looking at 10 days out here on the GEFS tonight, there's not really a lot at all. There's very little signal. If there is something, it's right off the coast of Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua, down there in the extreme southwestern Caribbean. Everything is pressed southward. Again, I really don't see it. Checking in with the AI at least over the next 10 days for the Euro. Again, there's nothing there. There's no signal. Looking at the Google DeepMind and just running this out, looking for any dot, anything. We've gone all 15 days. There's not a dot. The only dot we got was out here in the Eastern Pacific, running out on its own. So, folks, we may be done, and it looks to be likely done with the 2025 hurricane season. The odds are definitely better than not that we're certainly done with the season. looking at the deterministic models, basically one last time here for what I truthfully believe for 2025. We're got the euro on the left, the GFS on the right, looking for areas of spin around 5,000 feet above the ocean surface. As you can see, we're not really getting much of anything at all, folks. Even the GFS isn't, showing its shenanigans. Even if I run it all the way out, knowing that it loves to spin something up and show its shenanigans, it's not, we're way out there. So again, folks, I don't see it. I really don't. Looking at the humidity from both of the models, with the 500 millibar on the top, the 700 millibar on the bottom, in that range between about 10 to 18,000 feet into the atmosphere. Again, folks, taking a look, running through, there is numerous fronts that are going to be rolling through, and that is going to be injecting a lot of dry air, stirring up the atmosphere, creating more and more shear due to those troughs and frontal boundaries. Again, I know I may be saying the same thing over and over again here, but looking at our wind shear, we'll notice that in about 4 or 5 days, here we go, things really start to change. And by the time we get to the end, and we've seen this day after day now, even when we get into about day 7, the pattern that we see is almost similar to a wintertime pattern. The GFS, great amount of shear across the entirety of the basin. You've got the euro also starting to do the very same thing. Takes another day or so to respond to the same values of what the GFS is looking like, but especially when we get down here to the 240 hour, there's shear all across the basin. The whole thing. Everything. So it's certainly promising signs, folks. It really is. And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. But we got Thanksgiving to go through, and today is obviously Halloween. I do want to mention before I sign off here tonight, and maybe for the last time, you guys probably are not going to hear from me for until the end of the season, unless we get unless we've got an area of interest with 40% or higher. I am not going live anymore this year. I will be back live for the end of the season live. But if you guys remember way back in the beginning of August, I made you a promise I'd be here every single night regardless what was going on. From August 15th to Halloween. I didn't realize I was going to start on August the 4th. But hey, we were here regardless anyway. Every single night until Halloween. Today's Halloween. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. And without anything of a 40% or higher from the tropical outlook from the National Hurricane Center, we won't be live again until next season. Well, the end of the season live. We will go live. We will do our fun little trivia ordeal. And then we'll talk about it. I mean, if folks want to take some classes or learn some things or whatever, you guys feel free, reach out to me, let me know. Maybe we could put something together in a live stream or something like that so everybody can ask questions. But otherwise than that, I am going to, we're coming up to the off season, folks, where I spend my time studying, spend my time reading, asking questions, trying to learn as much as I can for next season. So, yeah, and looking out here to the Western Pacific, we've got Invest 98W followed by Invest 99W. Google DeepMind is not necessarily playing around here with Invest 99W, or this is 98. with some values low. There's some opportunity for this to get, potentially up to typhoon status, maybe getting into, hurricane or major hurricane strength. There's a chance, unfortunately. It's not a high chance, but there is a chance nonetheless that this could get itself organized quickly and then really, really cause problems for the Philippines. And unfortunately, we've got re-intensification here into the South China Sea and then into Vietnam. Vietnam right now, my heart breaks for those people. They've had flooding, and I mean extreme flooding. We're not talking about regular flooding. We're talking about very, very, very catastrophic extreme flooding here. From, I would say, the entire northern half of their country. The central portion of their country is currently going through that catastrophic flooding right now. And this is coming. Only going to get worse. Saw a report of 39 inches of rain in 24 hours for some parts here of Vietnam. You think of that. 39 inches of rain in 24 hours. That's crazy. And then here comes that next one. And that's 99. Figured we'd go ahead and we'd discuss it because I'm not going to be here to discuss it tomorrow night. Look at that one. Now, the Google DeepMind is ultra aggressive with this one. Ultra aggressive. So 98 might be the jab. 99 looks like it wants to try to be the knockout. And we got to find the Marianas Islands right there. So, maybe a little bit of inclement weather, but ooh boy, when it gets here into the Philippine Sea, you look at that. That's scary. We've had enough. We've seen plenty of Cat 5s. Crazy season, folks. Absolutely crazy season. All right, I'm going to look. I don't see much. I really didn't expect much here tonight. There's everybody's out doing Halloween things and enjoying the time. There's not a lot of attention now to the tropics now that Melissa is off the board. So could very well be. Let me sign off for the very last time. I thank y'all here for all season long for putting your trust into us, for communicating the official forecast and making sure that everybody stays safe. I hope that we've been able to ease your mind on some of the anxieties and help out where it was needed in the time of need. So, folks, thank y'all. And this is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society signing off one last time for the 2025 season. I don't think we're going to have another one. So be on the lookout for our end of season special date, time, and information here in the near future. So with that, stay safe, folks. Have a wonderful night. Bye.